Between 6 and 8 months old, parents are antsy to drop down from 3 naps to 2 naps. And today we're gonna talk about all the signs that your child is ready for this nap transition and how to make it. There's definitely a right way and a wrong way to drop a nap for your baby so that you're not completely shocking their circadian rhythm and their little internal clock. We're gonna talk about how you can make this change a little bit more gradually and what your days will look like on 2 naps. There are 3 major signs to look out for when deciding if it's time to drop down from 3 naps to 2 naps. The first one being if your child's wake windows can become longer. And how will you know if the wake windows can get longer? It's because your child is either not falling asleep because they're just kind of babbling and playing in their crib when you think it's time for a nap, or they're going down happily, taking a 30, maybe 45-minute cat nap, and then waking up happy and ready to go. So they kind of had enough sleep just to take the edge off. So this is a sign that you can probably stretch their wake windows by somewhere between 30-ish minutes. We'll just stick with 30 minutes. The second sign that it is time to drop the nap is when their first and second naps become consistently longer. Now this might mean that you're capping those naps and waking them up at a certain time because you're trying to preserve that third nap. But when your child can handle those longer wake windows and you've been capping their naps for a while, you can likely stretch their wake windows, spread out the 2 naps, not cap them at an hour to an hour and a half, and then you'll be ready for 2 consistent naps. Sign number 3 that it's time to drop down to 2 naps is when bedtime starts getting too late. Now, I like to stay within the 7 to 8 p.m. range. If bedtime is at 8:30, that is the absolute latest that I would go with a baby between 6 and 8 months old when this transition may happen. If that bedtime keeps getting pushed later and later because that's how it has to go with their wake windows and 3 naps, and then bedtime, and that bedtime is getting pushed really late, then you know that maybe it's time to drop that 3rd nap and you're ready for 2 naps with an earlier bedtime. So now we can talk about what your baby's schedule will look like every day on 2 naps. The most important thing is that you're waking your baby up at the same time every single day. I'm gonna go with 7 a.m. because that is smack dab in the middle of an acceptable wake up time between 6 and 8 a.m. Anything outside of that 6 to 8 a.m. range is not going to be a good morning wake up time for your child. Before 6 a.m. is too early, after 8 a.m. is too late. Let's meet in the middle and pretend you're on a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. schedule. So what your schedule will look like on 2 naps is waking up at 7 a.m., napping from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then napping again from 2:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. and going to bed by 7 p.m. This will be the same schedule every single day. Once you're on 2 naps, you can have this consistent schedule and you will be so happy. Your life will no longer be revolving around wake windows solely, and you can go by the clock. The next thing that we're gonna talk about when making the 3 to 2 nap transition is crib hour. Now I have an entire video on crib hour right here. I want you to check it out after you watch this video if you are not familiar with the term crib hour. But it is important that you are following crib hour so that you can follow the schedule that we mentioned before. This is basically a strategy where if your child is taking shorter naps, we're using crib hour to teach them that they need to connect to another sleep cycle, go back to sleep, and max out their amount of nap time for that particular nap. This will also help them stay on schedule, and it will help them within a couple days of using crib hour to connect a sleep cycle so that they are getting that appropriate length of nap. The next thing that you need to do is commit to consistency during this process. You may be tempted to go back and forth between 2 naps and 3 naps as your child is adjusting to this. Rule of thumb is that after 2 weeks of making this change, you cannot be offering a cat nap anymore. I understand that your baby might need it for those first 2 weeks of making the transition and just a quick little 15 to 20 minute nap to take the edge off before bedtime if the first 2 naps were short. But the long game here is that we're dropping from 3 naps to 2 naps. So if you keep offering that 3rd nap, you're really just confusing your baby and they're never going to learn to connect their sleep cycles and to take those longer 2 naps. that's going to lead to a lot more sleep issues than just your nap schedule, because if they're not on a developmentally appropriate daytime schedule, then their nighttime sleep is also going to be affected. Basically, just stick to consistency and stick it out for a couple weeks because it is going to take time. You are completely changing your baby's circadian rhythm, and they're little, they're tiny little babies who have only been on this earth for a couple of months. Give it some time, give your baby some grace, and don't expect perfect naps every single day for every single nap. Sleep is not linear, okay? So when you're changing sleep, it's not gonna be a linear process of, oh, we changed to 2 naps, so now everything's gonna be great and everything's uphill from here. That's not realistic. It's going to be a roller coaster. Sleep is very wavy. So now I have a bonus tip for you. Stay busy. When you're making this change, your baby is going to go through an adjustment period. They may be more cranky, they may be more clingy, but it is important to stay busy, keep your baby occupied so that they're not necessarily as cranky as they would be if you were just kind of sitting around the house, maybe just kind of crawling around, trying to give them different toys. Try and get out of the house. Now that you're gonna be on a by the clock schedule, you know that when your baby wakes up from nap at 11 a.m., that's when you can go out and go to the grocery store. That's when you can go to a library story time. That's when you can go to the playground. But you definitely should, and I highly recommend that you go and get out of the house during their awake time, even if it's just taking a walk around the neighborhood, but try to get out of the house so that your child is getting that vitamin D, as are you, because it's important for adults as well, but get out of the house. The only thing I would avoid is going for stroller walks when you think that your child may fall back asleep and take a longer nap, because that's not going to develop a very healthy sleep pattern for your child. You wanna make sure that they're only sleeping in the crib. Don't forget, after this video, check out the crib hour video, and good luck with your 3 to 2 nap transition. If you need anything or if you need one-on-one help, head to the link in the description box down below to set up your consultation. And keep blooming. Mwah.